You are Locked On Clippers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, hello and good evening, or good morning if you're listening on your way to work. It's the Locked On Clippers Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. I am Pete Fox, covering sports in LA dating back to 2007 for ESPN LA Radio and NBC Sports Radio. You can always download the podcast, which a lot of people do, and we thank you for that, on the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. We appreciate you making us your source for your team every day. Today's episode of the Locked On Clippers Postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, another comfortable, easy stroll for the Clippers. A nice, leisurely walk in the park, as kind of I thought it would be. I was, again, talking about this last night after their dominant 59-point win over the Brooklyn Nets, that I thought I was a little surprised that the announcing duo of Brian Seaman and Jim Jackson were giving the Portland Trailblazers a little too much love on, the potential of this game being tough. And wasn't tough in any way, shape, or form, really, at any time. First quarter dominance, 32-22. Second quarter was off for both teams. And honestly, most of that for the Clippers came at the end of the second quarter when they had a bunch of turnovers, and the Trailblazers went on a nice run there to end the quarter. But the Clippers had really nice ball movement coming out of the locker room. They went on a 19-2 run, stealing the ball, playing defense, running the break. They were doing just about everything, and that's kind of what you hope for in a game like this. It felt, as they like to put it, easy minutes. There was not a lot of contact after the first quarter. It did feel like James Harden was getting a little frustrated in the first quarter, but he did a nice job of drawing fouls and getting to the line. Norm Powell got to the line from a foul beyond the arc, missed 2 of 3, which I was a little surprised by. 6 of 9 from the line for Powell, but had 3 threes, 7 of 12. So all in all, a fantastic night shooting for him. But the biggest positive, heartwarming stat of the night for all of these starters is their minutes on the floor. In a back-to-back, especially on the road, they all played under 30. Harden had 29, 7 of 16. Surprisingly, Harden only hit 1 3 in this dominant win. It's not over yet, but close. 113-82 at this point with about 3 minutes to go on the clock. I like the fact that the Clippers were pushing the ball a lot. Just like last night, defense leading to the offense. It was comfortable. It is becoming more routine for them. It didn't seem like they were fighting to get the ball, fighting to make the passes. And there was one pass that James Harden made on an alley-oop to Derrick Jones Jr. There was, I think, at least 3 last night, 2 for sure. I know Jones Jr. had a couple, 3 alley-oop dunks last night. I don't know if they all came from James Harden, but and it's funny. It kind of reminded me of what we saw on a regular basis from James Harden last season. And for whatever reason, I think it's the lack of Kawhi Leonard. And by the way, Kawhi was not on the floor tonight. So another nice thing about this game, Kawhi didn't even play and they dominated. But now that he's back, in the rotation and playing on a regular basis, I think it's very good for James Harden, freeing James Harden up to be James Harden. He doesn't have to shoulder the entire offensive load. And that's also good for Norm Powell. Both of those guys are very good shooters, but it's nice to have a third man who's the number 1 and makes you guys the 2 and the 3. And that's a good place for the Clippers to be in. But Harden last season, I remember one of the things that really impressed me about him, because I was not a big fan of James Harden, so therefore wasn't, knowledgeable of his game, aware of who he was and what he was capable of, but, kind of got sucked into a lot of the negativity that surrounded James Harden, unfortunately. And the good news is we haven't seen any of that on the Clippers, and that's awesome. But really is a guy that is not afraid or does not have a problem sharing the ball. He does not need to be holding the ball at all times. Very capable of it. And quite frankly, the Clippers are probably better when he is holding the ball, as long as Kawhi Leonard is on the floor. James Harden is a turnover liability, but as we've said over and over again, it doesn't matter. It's fine. We're okay with that. It's like home run hitters in baseball striking out all the time. They're fine with it. They don't care. I, on the other hand, get a little upset with all the strikeouts of home run hitters. Don't want to put any names in my anger or frustration. Anger is a strong word. Frustration at times, but it's the same thing with James Harden. The turnovers can be a liability. Most of the time they're not, because he scores and he's a facilitator with the ball, making very nice passes. But anyway, back to my elongated, windy lead into this play. Saw this a lot last year. James Harden making pinpoint accurate, sweet, beautiful passes nonchalantly as can be, just over the shoulder, flicking them cross court sometimes. We haven't seen a lot of that this year. Most of his passes have been of the bounce pass to Zoo on a pick and roll in the lane. That's kind of what we're used to this far into the season. But now that Kawhi's back on the floor, and it really has spread the offense out, it's freeing people up like Derek Jones Jr. to get above the rim and get these alley-oops. He made this one pass to Derek Jones Jr., who was cutting to the basket, and it was like he dribbled and just fired it. It was so relaxed and such a perfect pass. It was really, really nice to see. And that play, Harden to Derek Jones Jr. alley-oop dunk, is becoming a routine, regular thing for the Clippers. And I absolutely love seeing it, because it's a highlight reel play every time. And it's just becoming easier for them. And that's the good part about it. They're not missing it. And when you see Derek Jones cutting, you're like, okay, boom, you almost can anticipate that the basket is going to be good, because the pass 95 to 99% of the time is going to be on the mark, like it was tonight and last night. Again, Clippers beating bad teams like they should. So we can't get too excited about this, but a win is a win. And most importantly, easy minutes, not taxing hard physical minutes in this back-to-back on a quick roadie. Had to jump on the plane probably this morning, fly up to Portland. They'll get home pretty late tonight. They're off tomorrow and Saturday. Lakers on Sunday, which will be a physical, tough game. That will definitely not be a walk in the park for the Clippers or the Lakers, because these two teams generally play hard against each other. In spite of the fact that they're not in the same building anymore, I don't think that will change the rivalry. As a matter of fact, that might make it even bigger. The crypto.com aspect of it, what they used to call it, the hallway rivalry, is no longer an issue. But I still think, I think the Clippers probably come out, a little bit proud of their new building, chest pounding, something to prove against the Lakers. Hey, welcome to our new house. Now we're going to kick your ass in it. We'll see. I don't know. It's going to be a good game for sure. I'm sure if BC's in the comments, he's refuting my assertion that the Clippers even have a chance of winning this game. Well, I'll tell you what, BC, they absolutely have a chance. And I think it's going to be a very tight, good game. Tonight, Clippers win it 118-89, as this one just went final. It's the Locked On Clippers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Clippers postcast is brought to you by Robinhood Gold. With Robinhood Gold, You can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national saving average. The perks of the high net worth are now available to any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood Gold, Robinhood.com/gold. That's Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year. From first match, must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate. Claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Tonight's episode also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. Win or lose, the FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, which if you haven't done live bets, they are a lot of fun. It makes the game very interesting. You got to act on those hunches sometimes. You feel so good when you win them. The losing is not fun, but the winning is so much better than the losing. So, you got to run those risks sometimes. And, it's quite rewarding and a lot of fun. Same game parlays also available and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Clippers roll the Trailblazers, or as they used to be known back in the day, to the Jim Rome listeners out there. Is Jim Rome even still on the radio? I think he is. But I was telling my daughter, because she was laughing at the name, the Trailblazers. That's a dumb name. And I'm like, it's not a dumb name. She's like, what's a trailblazer? Like somebody who blazes trails. They go out for a hike, and that's what you do in Portland. Oh, okay. That makes more sense to me. So I told her the two pun names that they had back in the day, 20 years ago, probably, when there was maybe a little too much smoking the hippie lettuce by the Trailblazers. Jim Rome dubbed them the Portland Trail Blunts. And I think a few of them ended up in jail, and another nickname for them was the Jailblazers, which I thought was very clever. Unfortunate as those names may be. 118-89, the final tonight. James Harden with 19. Norman Powell led the way. 23 points in 26 minutes, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and just 1 turnover. Nice night for Harden, not turning over the ball. It's not surprising. Didn't, get into a lot of pressure defensively from the Trailblazers. He only had 3 turnovers and 6 assists. 13 for Derek Jones Jr., 5 of 7, including a 3. Ivica Zubac's 5 of 10 for 10 points, had a plus 28. And Chris Dunn, 19 minutes, 3 of 4, had 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. So again, doing what Chris Dunn does in the starting lineup. We'll get to the bench in a little bit. At the end of the first half, Clippers were shooting 54%, which was nice to see. They had the fast break rolling 14-5, dominating in the first half. Portland shot just 33%. So not only were the Clippers making the baskets, they were denying Portland as well. Clippers outscored them in the first half from a bench perspective, 17-2. That's another good sign for this team. And points off of turnovers, 11 for the Clippers and 7 for the Trailblazers. And not that this means all of that much. It's just kind of one of those stats that feels good. Over the prior 6 quarters for the Clippers, they've have allowed a grand total, that was at halftime, of 106 points. 6 quarters, they've allowed 106 points. The Trailblazers played well in the second half. Clippers won the third 34-28 as they went on a nice little 14-2 run. The Blazers ended the third on a 14-2 run to kind of get back into it a little bit. I think they were down 20 at that point. But the Clippers got things back on track. And, as I said, pulled away and won this one comfortably without really too much of a sweat or a hassle or any sort of frustrations from, any aspect of this game. It all went very smoothly. So I would be surprised if they're not in the air within an hour and a half from right now, back home and in bed, hopefully by, 1 o'clock in the morning. So tomorrow will be a restful day for them. Let's get to the bucket list for tonight. The top 5 baskets from my perspective. For number 5, Amir Coffey made a really nice, tough layup through traffic at the 6:30 mark of the second that made it 47-26. Clippers really pulling away at that point. He had also made a end-to-end dribble drive, got to the lane and kicked one out to the corner. I don't know if it was Norm or if it was Terrence Mann in the corner there, but they buried a 3 there. So a nice assist for Coffey as well. For number 4, Norm Powell, a free throw line fadeaway. It was Dirk Nowitzki-esque. It was really nice to see. It's at the 3:33 mark of the second. It made it 51-33. And then shortly thereafter, kind of a little scary moment for Norm. He was trying to roll around the pick and got forced into the elbow of the shooter, and it caught him right in the jaw, and he kind of went down in a heap, as most of us would. But laid on the floor for a few minutes and went over to the sideline, shook it off, and got right back in the game. So that was nice to see. For number 3, James Harden hit a 3, his only 3 of the night at the 8:46 mark of the third. It made it 65-40. It was in perfect rhythm, banged it down. It forced a Portland timeout, which is always nice to see. For number 2, Jarek Jones Jr. hit a 3 at the 6:51 mark of the third, made it 74-42. He's been struggling with the 3, so the fact that he could hit that one was positive. He had been 3 of 30 from beyond the arc prior to that. And for number 1, Terrence Mann hit a 3 at the 11:04 mark of the fourth from the corner. The sniper's nest, as Brian Seaman likes to call it. 89-66, the score at that point. Again, if you want to find one little sore thumb in this game, the end of the second, right before the break, was a little sloppy. They were not passing the ball well. It allowed the Thunder to go on a little run, and it just kind of sent them into the locker room on a bad note. Again, these kind of games where you're up comfortably and you don't feel like the game is in jeopardy, it's got to be challenging. It really does, to stay focused and play 100% for an entire 48 minutes. I get it. And at that point, the game was starting to get out of hand. They led by 21 in the first half and a comfortable lead at the break. So everything was working in their favor. So they let up a little bit, and the Trailblazers took advantage of it. But the good news is they came out of the locker room and had very good ball movement, and that was one of the things to me that I like to see. I hope that ball movement is sticky, right? I hope that it stays with them when things get tough, because we see a lot that it becomes very ISO centric. Harden was doing a lot of ISO in the early part of the game, which he's known to do, but he was drawing fouls and it was working out. But again, he had a nice night passing the ball. He had 6 assists to lead the Clippers. So you can't get on him too much and criticize for being, a one-on-one ISO player when he had 6 assists. So he did his job on both sides of the ball. But I think the more that they are successful, even against inferior opponents, passing the ball, getting the ball moving around the perimeter, I think it's going to be something that they can build on and grow from. And I think Kawhi Leonard has a lot to do with that. I feel like Kawhi Leonard's presence promotes that. He obviously is capable of creating his own shot, getting to his spot, waiting for a pass and shooting. But I think that's a bigger part of it. The fact that Kawhi Leonard does not play, is not mainly an ISO guy. He can, and obviously there's going to be times when he needs to, tight spots, you need to get a basket. Kawhi Leonard's going to be your guy. I feel like Kawhi Leonard is also very effective at getting to his spot that, right by the block or by the elbow, or, he has 3 or 4 spots that he really feels comfortable. He gets there and waits for a pass and bangs those down. So I feel like that promotes the ball movement for this Clipper team. And anytime the ball is moving, I feel like they're in a good spot. When it's not moving, you never know. Sometimes it's just fine, and other times it can be very frustrating, and puts them in a bad spot, especially against a strong defensive opponent. When they're playing someone like the Thunder, who can play defense, or Minnesota, and the ball is not moving, it can get ugly fast. It's the Locked On Clippers postcast. I am Pete Fox. Final score tonight against the Portland Trailblazers at Moda Center, 118-89. Not a lot of Rip City going on tonight in Portland, as the Clippers take care of business and dominate before a very tough stretch ahead, starting on Sunday against the Lakers. We'll get into that stretch and what's on the calendar for them coming up after the break. It's the Locked On Clippers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, or you can download us wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. Well, tonight's episode also brought to you by SKIMS. When I found out about SKIMS, I said, what are SKIMS? And then my wife reminded me, those are Kim Kardashian's underwear. I said, what? They want me to wear Kim Kardashian's underwear? She's like, I wear them. They're great. I was like, okay, cool. I don't. I wish, I wish SKIMS would give us some so we could try them out. Well, my wife, being the giving soul that she is, that's her love language, is giving gifts. So I'm a very lucky man. Gave me some SKIMS for Christmas. And unfortunately, I'm going to share with you right now the fact that I'm wearing SKIMS right now. And they are fantastic. Quality product. Very, very comfortable. The fabric is smooth and silky, and they don't ride up. They fit just right. I have to be honest. I like them, and I can be very picky about my underwear, my undergarments. If they're too tight or too loose, sometimes is worse than too tight. They start riding up and getting into the places you don't want them to get into. Well, SKIMS don't do that. I have chosen my wife chose for me the boxer briefs, and I'm hooked. I like them. They are perfect for my active lifestyle. Great when you go golfing. The more you move, the more they move with you. Never lose their shape and stay in place all day long. So highly recommend the SKIMS underwear for men. Of course, they have women's as well. Get some for your significant other. Shop SKIMS Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and the SKIMS stores. Let them know we sent you after you place your order. Select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Again, this is the Locked On Clippers postcast, skims.com/LockedOnNBA. You know how I always gripe and complain about them writing these scripts in first person for things that they don't know whether I've actually done them or not. So right below the highlighted portion of the script for SKIMS, it says, here are some examples of things you could say to use in your description of why you like SKIMS. It starts off with, as you know, I work out 5 days a week. Like, no, I do not. That is not me. I do not work out 5 days a week. That would sound ridiculous coming out of my mouth. I do work out, sometimes I count golfing or hitting balls into the net in my backyard as a workout, but not 5 days a week. no chance. Clippers take care of business in Portland. Comfortable win, stress-free, 118-89, led by Norm Powell's 23. Off the bench, Nick Batum played 14 minutes, had 3 points. That was his only shot, a 3. Kai Jones, 3 minutes, no score for him. Mo Bamba played 17 minutes. He was perfect. 2 for 2 from the floor, 0 for 2 from the line. Bones Highland had 8 minutes, 3 points. Terrence Mann, 22 minutes, 5 of 8, a couple of threes for 14 points. Good to see him shooting the hot ball. Amir Coffey, 23 points, 23 minutes, 10 points, 3 of 5, 0 for 1, perfect from the line. He had 3 rebounds and 2 assists. 5 rebounds for Terrence Mann. That was nice. Kevin Porter, 14 minutes, 3 of 5, 8 points. And Kobe Brown played 6 minutes at the end of the game, scoring 4 points. So all in all, Clippers rolling into a very tough week in front of them. On the right foot, moving in the right direction, feeling like things are good right now. Let's just hope we can get Kawhi out there without minute restrictions as we play some of these tough opponents. Again, Lakers on Sunday. This week got significantly harder, tougher, more arduous recently because of the cancellations or postponements due to the LA fire. So it wasn't originally going to be this tough a week, but it looks pretty a pretty rough gauntlet, if you will, right now. Sunday at 6, they'll take on the Lakers. This is at Intuit. That's the good news. They're not traveling during any of this. Then Monday, they'll take on the Chicago Bulls, who are an under 500 team, but they're tough. That's at 7:30. They're off Tuesday. They'll play Wednesday against Boston. I think the Celtics are having a pretty good season. They're a good team, aren't they? Yeah, I think so. Then on Thursday, the opposite of the Celtics, the Washington Wiz are in town. So you go from the best team or one of the best to the worst team or one of the worst. The Wizards are 6-33. So that one coming off a tough one against the Celtics. Should be a walk, but you never know. Maybe the Clippers get roughed up against the Celtics and it hangs over their head as they take on the Wiz. Then they're off on Friday. They'll play the Milwaukee Bucks on Saturday. So that is just a really, really tough 6 days right there from Sunday to Saturday. And then they're off on Sunday. They'll fly to Phoenix. And this does not sound like fun either as to what's ahead of them after that 5-game homestand. They've got Phoenix on Monday, San Antonio on Wednesday, Charlotte on Friday, and then the Raptors in Toronto on Sunday. So 5 tough games at Intuit. Then they get on the plane and go on a 4-game roadie. That's just going to be rough. I mean, a lot of traveling. Phoenix, San Antonio, Charlotte, and Toronto. And that game in Toronto is at 12:30. So they play early in Charlotte on Friday, 4:00, and then off Saturday, Sunday in Toronto for a 12:30 start. 12:30 here, but still early, 3:30 there. So it's going to be rough. So they got to get their wins while they can and keep this momentum rolling. Again, Lakers are going to be tough. Don't know how to forecast that one. It could go either way. I think they'll beat the Bulls. Again, the Celtics, that could go either way. They'll beat the Wiz, and the Bucks is going to be tough. So you got 3.5 tough opponents coming up this week, and then you head out to face Phoenix, San Antonio, Charlotte, and Toronto. Fortunately, obviously the Spurs have handled their business and taken care of the Clippers in their previous meetings this season. The last one was ugly in San Antonio, or maybe that was in LA. I can't remember exactly. But it was not a good game for the Clippers. Yeah, it was in San Antonio, New Year's Eve, 122-86 as the Clips got thumped. The Charlotte game on Saturday the 11th was postponed. So that's the makeup game that's thrown in there, I'm assuming. I don't know. But Charlotte's not all that great. Toronto also struggling mightily as they're trying to rebuild, 10-31. So that won't be all that tough. But you never know what you're going to get from the Suns. That'll be a tough game there. and San Antonio always tough against the Clippers and playing well right now. I mean, that Wembanyama guy is just by himself a lot to deal with, and that makes the San Antonio Spurs in a different league because of Wembanyama. 9-28 are the Hornets. So 3 of those 4 teams right there, not all that great, or 2 of the 4, because the Suns don't have a great record, but they can definitely fill it up. So you're going to have your hands full there in Phoenix. They're a 500 team at 20-20, and any team with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker is tough to deal with. And again, I don't know if Durant's playing, and I do believe Booker is healthy and playing. So that by itself right there makes that one tough. So let's enjoy the next 2 days off, because the Clippers got a gauntlet in front of them, and we as fans also, have to get kind of geared up for this week ahead, because it's going to be a lot. Starts on Sunday at 6:00 against the Lakers. Clippers win tonight comfortably, 118-89, led by Norman Powell's 23. They are now 23-17 after the win. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you doing that, and love the comments. What does Steven say? I can't watch the Clippers or Lakers. It's been a meh year. Really? Well, I get that comment. I get that perspective. And all that tells me, Steven, is that you're not a real fan of either team. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's hard to argue. It really has been kind of meh. Yeah. The Clippers have had some nice wins. So have the Lakers. This could be the high point of the season for both of them. I don't know that the Clippers have done anything monumental. They haven't really. Nice win against Denver in October early in the season. That was a nice win against Golden State right after that as well. But they haven't done much. They beat San Antonio 113-104. That was a good win. San Antonio got their revenge. They beat Golden State a couple times, but that, again, looking at it now, it doesn't say all that much, as Golden State's not really all that good. So they got thumped by Houston and Oklahoma City and the Minnesota Timberwolves. They did lose a tight one to the Timberwolves, but then went on to lose 108-80. So they need some big wins. It'd be nice to beat Boston, right? Because the last time they faced them, Boston cruised 126-94. That's the one I'm looking at. Obviously, Lakers and Clippers is always good. But I'm probably most excited about Boston coming to Intuit. That's going to be a good one on Wednesday. Of course, we'll talk to you after all of those games. But the next one will be Sunday night at Intuit Dome. Lakers and Clippers. We'll catch you right after here on the Locked On Clippers, or the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. And of course, you can download us on the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the comments. Have a good night. We'll talk to you on Sunday.